Memphis, 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 Memphis. Nothing but Memphis. Everywhere we go, it's Memphis. Memphis, Tennessee, the beautiful land in the world.
And I'm thankful for this guy who tweeted and said I don't have that fire in my eye no more. That game right there was for him. That's what I do. I prove people wrong each and every night, and that's for him right there.
Hi, this is Tom Izzo at Michigan State, and you're listening to Grizz 901.
Yo, what up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another episode of Grizz 901. We don't want to be here either, but we are, so we started a little bit early. I am your host, Daniel Greer, and we're going to get going. And the game is still going. The Grizzlies are down by 400. And so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about why and try to figure out what in the world they're doing wrong, who is kind of to blame other than the personnel. We've kind of heard the same old of they don't have the players, they don't have the guns, and that's fine. And we get that. But there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. That's the reason that they look disjointed at times. They look different at times. They don't look like they're in the game. It looks like their offense is absolute trash. They're letting every team shoot 78% from three. It's nuts. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this show. Where is it? All right, typical. We don't even know where he is. I thought he was there. Maybe he's not. Nate will be here, I guess, with us shortly. I'm not sure where he is, but tonight's game, man, I don't know. And listen, we can talk about it being an issue of they shot well, and we can talk about the issue of we didn't shoot well, but I will just say that it looks like the offense isn't working. And whatever the island, the Jamaican island of the St. Augustine, whatever his name is, that is not working. In the first half, there were absolutely zero drives through the lane. It was 5 people out, standing there, flat-footed, passing around the perimeter until one person eventually shoots the ball. Like, that is like
oh, sorry. The team didn't show up, so I figured I didn't have to either, and so I made it here now. Though I got a drink for now and a drink for later. Hey, this is what the team's doing to me now. What are we talking about?
Oh my God. All right. First of all, that made my night. Is that a White Russian? Like, what is that?
This is an iced Irish.
An iced Irish. All right. Listen, I wish I had one of those. That would be delicious. I don't even know what it is. What's in a white? Not a white.
Iced Irish?
Yeah, whatever you said.
Got some Baileys, some Kahlua, some heavy cream, some coffee, and then if you're having a night like tonight, you add in a little bit of my old friend. Or a lot of it. I'll let you guess what I did for the evening.
Nate, I can't take this any longer, man. I'm just going to be honest. Like,
neither can my marriage.
I can't take it, man. The Grizzlies are now 0-5.
Not yet. We still have more time to endure until they're 0-5.
Let's talk about the game a little bit. Ladarius is asking, I guess I'm still wrong on the 3 first-round wings giving us nothing. Those Roddy buckets are garbage time. Listen, I like Roddy as a piece on a good team. He can be a better Conchar at times for different roles. He obviously is still young in his career, so I don't want to, completely put him in a box. Jake LaRavia, he does nothing. He needs so much more time to develop. He is so raw. I know his shot looks good. I know he looks like he should be an NBA player, but he's not. There's a reason he didn't start playing basketball or competitive basketball until he was a junior in high school, I believe. He's not there. And who's the other one? Zaire. Listen, Zaire's been fine. He hit some open buckets tonight. Zaire is still okay in my book. I don't have an issue. Do you have an issue with any three of those or all three of those?
I mean, when you say Jake LaRavia looks like he should be an NBA player, I don't know what you're watching.
Yeah, okay. Let me tell you. He's tall. His shooting stroke looks really good, but nothing happens. That's why he looks like an NBA player. Like you see him in the mall when he's trading cards behind the scenes. Like that's what an NBA player looks like, right? He's tall, good shooting motion, but then nothing actually happens.
Daniel, I got a buddy here that I call Big Mike. Big Mike went to BYU.
Is he short?
He's 6'7", give or take. Played club basketball at BYU. I've seen the dude's shooting stroke when he's shooting stuff into the dental school trash can because he goes to dental school with my wife. Beautiful shooting stroke. Big Mike, too, looks like he should be an NBA player. But guess what? Big Mike is in school to become a dentist. Alongside my beautiful, wonderful, amazing wife. Being a dentist is great. I have nothing against being a dentist, but Big Mike's the guy who'll get nosebleed tickets to go to Jazz games with, not go to see him play on the court with the Jazz. It's at the point where I'm like about to unlearn my Santi Aldama lesson and talk about how nothing about Jake LaRavia looks like an NBA player when he's on the court. So thankfully we only had to watch 2 minutes of it tonight. Like how do you want me to handle this, Dan? Do you want me to give you my
I just want you to let me quit.
Sandwich? Where I sandwich it with the rational parts of this and then give you like not the double stuff, the mega stuff Oreo version with the irrational in between.
No, I want you to tell me the truth.
Okay. The truth is like the players that play for the Grizzlies right now, most of them ain't that good. Like that's the bottom line. Like here's my rational, irrational sandwich.
All right.
I'm just going to give you both sides of the sandwich. So I can go straight rational to irrational.
Sweet.
Rational is they are missing truly like a playoff caliber starting lineup of players. And John Morant, Steven Adams, Brandon Clark, Santi Aldama, and I guess Luke Kennard came back tonight, apparently. I don't know. I think he's made 1-3. I'm not super worried about that. It's like he'll start making shots, truly. But like right now, it's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
The other rational part of this is that the Jazz, while I mean, you do have to give credit where credit's due. It's a make or miss league. They made tonight a lot. Dog, they like John Collins hasn't made a 3 since COVID, I think. And meanwhile, he's like 40% from 3 or something tonight. I don't know what the actual number is. 40% on the dot. Luke Kennard can't make a 3, or he can make 1 apparently for the season. Like, you just don't expect that to happen. Here's the bad rational part. It keeps happening against the Grizzlies. Like, you've got to defend. I love my guy, David Roddy, but dude, you got to stay within 15 feet of your man, or else guess what? They're going to knock down threes. That's what happens. I mean, I don't know. Here's the irrational part. These guys effing suck that aren't named Desmond Bane.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Jaren actually has been fine. He
had one good game in the first 5. Okay. I'm not giving him he's been fine. He's had one.
Yeah, he's been fine. He's been fine.
He's not.
He's been fine. He has been fine.
He's not, man. He's not a good offensive player. He never has been.
They don't run an offense. The only time they ran what looked like an NBA offense was honestly in the last minute and a half of the fourth quarter.
Listen, I'm going to be very honest. I do not get on coaching very often. I know how hard it is to coach. I know what goes in behind the scenes that people don't see. I know that it is very tough to motivate people, to put in a game plan, to feel good, and all row the boat in the same direction. But whatever is happening can't continue to happen. And I don't know if it's Taylor Jenkins. I don't know if it's the new offensive coordinator, if that's what we're going to call him. But the offense is trash. Absolutely trash. If you miss open shots, that's fine. Tonight, the Grizzlies are currently, and it's went up because these knuckleheads that are in the game right now are actually going against worse players because their 11 through 15 suck more than our 11 through 15. But we're now shooting 25.9% from three and 33% overall, and they're shooting 51% on both 3 and 2-point overall. Like, it's absolutely disgusting looking at our offense. I don't care if you have set your offense to be a certain way because Ja Morant or because you thought that the offense would run a certain direction because of whoever you have on the court, because they should be good, because they're NBA players. You have to adjust. There has been zero adjustment. Finally, after halftime tonight, it looked like we were a whole different team, and we had energy. We were getting to the free throw line. We were breaking into their I guess, breaking by our guy, getting to the next level of the defense, and actually dishing off and hitting open runners or actually going to the hoop and getting fouled. Like, that can happen. But when you're just literally passing the ball around and you have Dum X who likes to shoot 10 3-pointers a game and didn't take one tonight against a team that actually is oversized in the actual time you should shoot the 3-pointers. We had our other Dum who only shoots 3-pointers. And he now has went, 1 for 8 tonight, and Jaren Jackson Jr., 1 for 8. That can't happen. It can't happen. Like, that offense, it has to be tailored to the guys that you have, to your personnel. We don't go out there and watch football and we see them run the exact same offense because they want to think they have Christian McCaffrey. No, they adjust and they say, hey, I have Rico Dowdle as my running back, and I'm going to figure out a way to not have to make him an integral part of this offense. So we have to figure out, why don't we go a pick and roll offense? Completely just go away from everything we've done. Ja Morant runs a pick and roll offense. Hey, Marcus Smart, you're going to eventually be the off guard anyway. I'm going to let Desmond Bane or Marcus Smart run a pick and roll offense with Jaren Jackson Jr. And we're going to shallow out everybody else on the opposite side. And we're going to let those two, our best two guys, go to work. If we're going 2-on-2 versus the other team, I feel confident. And guess what? They overplay on the opposite side and they completely overhelp. You have NBA players that should be able to knock down completely wide open shots. And at that point, if they catch the ball or whatever might happen, they can then get to the basket because they're going to overplay on defense because they're scrambling. But what we do isn't working. I don't even know if that works, but that's my thinking. I want my two best players to figure out a way to make it happen. And right now, all it is just jacking up threes. Like, literally, we had 23s between Jaren and Desmond tonight, and they hit 5 of 20. Like, and that's probably not even the worst. We had Smart going 1 for 7.
Dude, they don't run an offense right now. It's just like, you pass the ball to me, we'll like set a couple picks. Nobody else is going to move. And then eventually the shot clock will get low, and the first person that has a semi-open 3 within reasonable range shoots it. Like, dude, that's like lifetime offense. That's LA. That's not even lifetime. That's LA Fitness offense. They wouldn't even pass at lifetime. Only at LA Fitness can you get away with that. And I'm with you, dude. Listen, if they were just missing open shots and they were just getting beat because they're having to play Jacob Gilyard and Jake LaRavia, like, you can only do so much with the pieces you've got.
Why is Jacob Gilyard playing?
Dude.
My daughter's 8. She's taller than he is.
Bro, honestly, he was far from the biggest minus on the floor tonight.
It doesn't matter. He does nothing. They were throwing it over him, and he couldn't jump up there high enough to get the pass.
Daniel, the problem is that he is not the sore spot in the game. Like, it's a problem is not Jacob Gilyard.
I know it's not.
All the guys that suck. And, like, you've got a bunch of guys playing in roles they don't need to be playing in.
I agree.
But at the same time, I'm like, you don't get anything going towards the rim. I haven't seen Zaire take a mid-range shot since, like, game 1. Like, why aren't you getting to the bucket? Because you're not trying to get to the bucket. Like at a certain point, like you can have this philosophy of let it fly, but dude, like so can Big Mike from BYU.
Right.
Like,
But that's when you adjust though, and you say, "Hey, that's not working. We're going to get to the."
yes,
Literally, the
yes.
Jazz are big, right? But they are one of the worst paint teams in the NBA. And I believe in the first half we had 4 points in the paint.
But
Like
dude,
that to me is coaching. And I hate talking about coaches, but there is a philosophy that is on the offensive right now. I don't care who is to blame. But if you don't have more than 4 paint points against a team who gives up a lot of paint points, and like I said, I know they're big, but everybody else has been doing well against them getting to the front of the rim. Why we can't do the same thing? I look at stats. I know our personnel, we've been good in the paint. I know we don't have job, but man, something's got to change.
dude, you saw what happened when they did try to get to the paint. Like when Desmond Bane decided he was going to get to the paint, he got to the paint. They just don't do it. I can't tell you how many bunnies have been passed up to try and make an extra pass this year. It was a stupid pass to make.
Yes.
And that's where I'm with you. It's coaching.
I don't know.
Because you don't pass up a layup right at the rim because you want to. It's because you've been taught to, and it's been part of your system. And like, you don't have the guys for that system to work.
Exactly.
When that's Ja Morant getting to the paint, all of a sudden that's gonna work because then it's Ja Morant passing it out to all capable 3-point shooters, right? But now, guess what else is gonna happen? Ja's also just gonna put it in the bucket when he gets there, like because that's free points that you are passing up, and that's the problem. The Grizzlies. Let me take a look. Game's over now. Let me look at this.
Is it? Well, it's been over, but it's not actually over yet.
Oh, I thought I saw the total was over. Well, whatever. It's been over.
The total went
so
over.
far, the Grizzlies are winning the second half by 8 points. They're winning the second half by 8 points. The problem is they keep jacking up threes and getting down by 18 points because they're not getting any good shots. Like they go for these long stretches where they don't run offense and they look confused. And dude, after this game, I'm kind of with you. Marcus Smart doesn't look like he can run an offense.
Like he can't. And that's okay. But he's not supposed to be in this role. I get it. But in the same sense, like there has to be they have to adjust. The coaching has to adjust at this point. It's on them at this moment.
Yeah, agreed.
Because what you're gonna do, you're gonna wear down Desmond Bane. And at that point, you're going to get somebody hurt because they're just worn down and there's going to be frustration. Something's going to boil over at this point. And I know, listen, losing 5 games in a stretch happens almost every single year with any NBA team because you do get in a funk, whatever. And I know it seems worse than it is, but I'm looking on the court and it looks worse than it actually seems to be. And that's what scares me is it looks worse than like it should be more of this. Like what's happening tonight when we're getting blown out, which has not happened the entire season. It looks like that should be happening every single night right now.
Yep.
And it's a miracle that it hasn't until now. And so I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. And obviously we're not going to come up with it here on Grizz 901 post-game show, or
we might.
We're going to start with 10 minutes to go in the game because you suck post-game show, whatever you want to call it. But, like, it's frustrating. And it's so frustrating because our team is good enough to win. But it's frustrating when it looks like it just doesn't make sense. That's the frustrating part. I'm fine with losing. I'm fine with tanking. I'm fine with all of that. But just make it make sense is the only thing I ask. And right now, what's happening doesn't make sense.
They're not playing as a team on either side of the floor either. Like defense is completely disjointed. I saw Jaren Jackson at one point in the third quarter shading to the corner on an out of bounds play to guard the guy in the corner. Daniel, everyone on the Jazz on the other side of the floor. There was no one in the corner. I'm watching him shade towards a courtside fan. That keeps happening. They don't communicate. No one knows what's going on. And like that's where I get frustrated. And I'm the same way. I try not to do anything with coaching and trash coaching because I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But dude, when your defense is completely disjointed, nobody knows what's going on. Aside from the part where David Roddy's constantly 15 feet away from this guy. Still love David Roddy, but
he's not in the frame.
You might want, it's like he's like cherry picking. He's on the other side of the court pulling a Tony Allen, waiting for the ball to get there, right? Like it makes no sense. And then on the offensive end, you keep doing the same thing over and over, and it's not working. Like, dude, who's going to change it? That's a coach's responsibility. Even if he's telling the players to do something and they're not doing it, that's still a coaching problem.
I agree.
And like, touch the paint. Touch the paint. Every possession, touch the paint. You're an NBA team. If you can't touch the paint every possession, there's a whole nother can of worms. It's a whole nother problem. But you can touch the paint, and they just don't. And that was the thing that pissed me off the most about tonight is they came over and just got bent over and laid down. They just took it in the first half. They're just
first half they took it, but also literally the entire first half, nothing changed philosophy-wise. Like the offense never changed. Second half it did. Credit to the coaching staff for maybe they understood then. I don't know. But
you
literally
can't need halftime to make that adjustment.
You can't. That's an easy adjustment. Hey guys, we have to get to the front of the rim. Yeah. If you don't have an open three, if you get by your guy, whatever pass you want to do, and you want to, we have to get to create the motion. But also what all of this does, Jake LaRavia just yammed on a guy who probably won't see another 5 more minutes the rest of the year in an NBA game. And he'll probably make a video of that boy be slamming.
Please
I just want to see them run some kind of motion on offense, because what that does is when you're moving more, the energy is more picked up. When you're getting to the front of the rim, you're able to create that motion, right? You're able to create energy. You're also creating easier shots, a higher percentage shot. And they're taking the ball to the basket more, hopefully, which should slow them down from getting down the court. But also, it should pick up your energy, to which your offense and your entire defense and everything is getting a little bit faster. We're too predictable. And I know defense has been the biggest issue. You just got to run them off the 3-point line. Like, this is happening way too many times where we're getting demolished on the 3-point line. They have to figure out a way. And then they went to a zone defense at the start of the second half, and it looked better. But that should be able to happen out of a timeout.
Yeah.
Changing small things like that, changing a defense, adjusting, any kind of adjustment, whatever. These are NBA players. They have to be able to change out of a timeout. That should be easy. Looks like Vince Williams just got smoked.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm behind you.
Okay.
I'm behind you. But, yeah, man. I mean, it's misery to watch right now because they just don't look like a team.
Yeah.
The only time they have looked like a team, he did get smoked, you're right. The only time they looked like a team tonight is when these guys came in off the bench, which is what's really disappointing about it is we saw them. Oh my God, that probably should be a flagrant one. He got smoked.
Well, they ain't doing anything right now. They're trying to get out quick as possible.
I know. I've been trying to get them to get out of there too. No, they the only time they look like a team is when all the reserves came in the third quarter.
Thank God.
Like,
it's over.
How do you not have any kind of motion, movement? Like we're just going to keep saying the same thing over and over again. It's so stagnant. They don't communicate on defense. Like, they don't function as a team. And at the end of the day, I know that you have declared this a Taylor Jenkins friendly podcast, but at the end of the day, like, dude, that's you. That is you.
Yeah. Listen, like I said, I am, and I guess we were in the same boat of we try to be critical but we're also honest, and we're not going to kick people when they're down. In a sense, we're not going to be unrealistic, but I have to be honest, and I have to tell you what I see. I will never not be honest 100%. Like when I say that, hey, right now, like I don't think it's coaching or whatever, that is the honest truth. Like I don't shy away because of the coach or whoever it is. I don't care who it is. I'm not even saying that Taylor Jenkins needs to be fired. I'm not even seeing anything as needing to change with the staff. I am saying they have to do a better job of making adjustments with the personnel they have right now. If it is what it is, like if they don't want to make the adjustments, then they will be made an adjustment with them leaving the team. So you can either make the adjustments as a professional, as a coach, or you can get to be made as the adjustments of you're going to be off the team. But Grizzlies lose 133-109, and we're going to try to talk through it a little bit. We're not going to be here all night. We're probably going to be here another 15 more minutes. We might get to the 45-minute mark. We're about 30 minutes into the show now. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for hanging out with us. It's been a rough 0-5 start to the season. I swear on my life, if they lose to the Trailblazers Friday night, I'm so done.
Team no swag.
I'm so
Team
done.
Zero swag.
I'm so done. But literally, so we'll get to the Blazers preview here for Friday night. I believe Nate and I believe we're both doing the show Friday night at this time. Maybe, but that's the plan right now. So just kind of hang out with us. I'm hoping it's a fun night because honestly, it has not been fun. And sports are supposed to be fun, but it's so frustrating. So we feel you. We understand. We're in the same boat. That's kind of why we started early, so we can kind of just chat about it. Because instead of us getting on here and talking about it before we start recording, we just figured go ahead and start it. Nate was an hour late trying to make his drink, but then it was well worth it. Well worth it. All right, so where do we go next? And we kind of had that last time with Sean. Where do we go next? Like
Portland.
I know we're going to Portland, but like, what's going to be the change that you see? Is it effort? Is it getting guys healthy? Like, what is it?
Mac Biombo.
So he's not. I don't believe he'll play Friday. I don't believe he'll play
Might as well.
Listen, I'm fine with him playing. That's one thing I want to talk about, like with Xavier Tillman. The reason Xavier Tillman doesn't play and doesn't have a big contract majority of the time, doesn't play the big minutes, is because he has games like this. He has games like he's had in the past 2 or 3. Like he does look great at times. He is so matchup reliant that he has to have a good matchup that fits his skills. And I don't know if it's just, where he can't do it in stretches. I'm not sure. But he isn't the center for the season. He isn't the starting center for the season. Like Bismack Biyombo, if he looks okay, he gives us more size next to Jaren, which should help him out. But also it gives us more size where maybe we can funnel people into the paint and feel comfortable. And he actually does fall into that Steve-O role where maybe we do run, him out of the top of the post or possibly off the top of the key, and we run screens in and off of him, but also be able to kick to him where he can pass and facilitate as well. That's what Steve-O did. I don't believe that Bismack Biyombo is going to do that, but I believe that he should be able to help for something. But yeah, as Ryan says, big congratulations. We should have brought the champagne tonight, popped a bottle. We are the last winless team in the league. The Houston Dillon Brooks Rockets got to win before we did. Mm-hmm. Just think about that. All right,
told you the Dillon Brooks Renaissance was coming.
He isn't good. It's not because of that. He's not
shot 100% from 3 tonight.
He's not good. So where do we go from here? What's next? What do you think? A simple change. If you had to make one adjustment, what would you change?
Movement.
Just movement on offense.
Movement. and defense, by the way. Movement and
can't have two.
communication.
You can only have one.
Okay, then movement, because the defense, at least, like sometimes guys are just going to miss shots. But if they don't start moving on offense, they ain't going to make any.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you got to run an offense. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, run a offense. It can't be Marcus Smart and Desmond Bain hand the ball off back and forth at the top of the key until somebody gets kind of open to jack up a shot. Like, dog.
Yes. Hit us up with what do you think? If you're in the comments here on YouTube, thank you for joining us. We can see your comments here. If you're on Twitter, listen, we love you guys. This show is mainly because of you all. But please join us over at YouTube if you possibly can. Also, hit the like button. I've said this before. As you walk into your house, sometimes you wipe your feet. Most of the time you wipe your feet. I do. I'm kind of probably a weirdo at that. But just like wiping your feet, when you get in here, when you get into the YouTube show, just hit the like button. And then you can go back to the chat and you can send us a chat. But send us what you think, because honestly, I'm kind of done talking about them, and I kind of want to move on to previewing the game Friday and being done. But any comments you have on what you want to see done, or what you think possibly the Grizzlies should do or can do, or what frustrates you, by all means, let us know. But Alan says a trade for Pascal Siakam rental, which means that, Siakam is on his last year. What do you do with going into a trade? Do you think a rental makes sense, Nate?
No.
Why
That's
not,
the last
Nate?
thing I want to do.
Okay. So you
And
want
it's not
to,
because I don't want to see the Grizzlies win games, but at the end of the day, like, a rental does nothing for you. Chances are it doesn't really move the needle other than you win maybe a couple more games. Like, this unit, the team they have right now has to figure out how to get by, because quite frankly, like, there's only so much in reinforcements coming once Ja Morant gets back too.
Yeah.
And like, this team is good enough to win without Steven Adams and Brandon Clark, which means they're good enough to pass by without Ja Morant. And then, like, what are you giving up to go get Pascal Siakam? Like, what can you afford to give up to go do that, right? Like, who are you going to send? Jake LaRavia? Let me tell you, they ain't taking him.
Well, it doesn't matter if they take him or not. He's what, $2 to $4 million, whatever the number is.
Right, but
that's the problem. Grizzlies aren't making trades.
You don't even have the guys that someone would take if you could match salaries, right? And if you do send somebody that somebody would take, then you're just trading away a piece you actually need for what would be a rental. So it doesn't make sense. And quite frankly, if this team can't figure it out, then by the time Ja Morant gets back, I mean, you've got to be passable until Ja gets back. 25 games is just too much for you to be terrible that whole time, right? Like, you've got to figure out how to win just enough games where you're like 6 games under 500, maybe 7 games under 500.
Let me talk to you real quick. All right, I'm going to make this into a positive. I'm going to get off of the trade for Pascal. That can't happen. We don't have enough to give to get that, because Steven Adams is injured, Brandon Clark's injured. That's the only 2 guys you're getting rid of. That would actually make sense to be able to figure out enough money. This is the positive side. The Grizzlies are 0-5. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We are 20 games away from Ja Morant returning. If there's some way possible the Grizzlies go 500 the next 20 games, win 10, lose 10. How do you feel about being 10-15? Not ideal. Maybe you're feeling better because you didn't get some wins, but winning 10 of the first 25 games of the season, so you're 10-15 to start the year. Ja Morant is coming back. Does that make you feel better?
Yeah, I would feel much better if you told me they're going to be 10-15.
What if you're 8-17? What's the difference of 2 games?
9 games is a lot to make up, as opposed to that's 9 games, right?
Of what?
You'd be 9 games under 500 at that point.
I don't even remember what I said. 8
Well,
and
8
17.
and 17, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
9 games
9.
under 500. It would make me feel better to be only 5 games under 500. At the same time, like, honestly, if you can sneak into the play-in, if you're good enough to sneak into the play-in once Ja gets back, then you've probably had a pretty good second half of the season, right? Once he gets back.
Correct.
If they keep playing like this, you know? At that point, I'd feel pretty good about it because you get to the second half of the season, like, oh, you're a dangerous team going in. You've had a much better second half of the season than you had start to the season. At the end of the day, dude, like, you need the team that played against the Nuggets to start showing up. This team in game 2, I felt great about where they were. I was like, dude, you competed like that when you don't have the horses to compete with a team like the Nuggets.
Yeah.
But since then, it's just gotten – I didn't watch the Monday game. Obviously, I was otherwise occupied. But, like, I haven't – the game against the Wizards and then the game tonight, I'm like, dude, like, what about this? Nothing about this looks like the team that played against the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Like, what happened?
Wait, it looked like they were getting to the rim more when they were going against the Nuggets and honestly, anybody else in general. So they played the Nuggets first. The Pelicans, which they look fine against, and then the Wizards happened. The Wizards, they look disjointed, and they've looked disjointed ever since that Wizards game. Shane says 5-21 is his projection to when Ja gets back. At that point, the season is over. Man, I don't know if the season is over, but I think I added up, what did I say, 57 games left. Like, you would have to play really well. You'd have to win 35 of the 57 games to be 40 and 44. And that would probably get you in the play. And you got to get to the 40 wins. So let just using that as a barometer, 40 wins is probably going to get you into at least the play-in. And I think 40 wins is as possible. The problem is like you're rolling at that point because if you're playing that well down the stretch, nobody wants to face you in the playoffs. And so that's what the issue is. All right. So Shane also says, like, what is going to change you that puts you 500 through, the first, for the next 20 games? What the difference is they figure something out and a miracle. But you're also playing you're playing the Blazers back to back, which helps. You have a somewhat softer schedule. They just remember they did start the season playing 3 games in the first 4 days of the season. That wasn't ideal either. So that doesn't help.
Listen, they could. Here's the deal. Honestly, it feels horrible right now because they just played against a team that has not been good, right? Not been good and got smoked. They could also go just spank the Blazers twice in Portland because all of a sudden, like, the Jazz don't shoot 80% from 3 for a half. It doesn't happen, right?
Well, why does that happen now 2 or 3 times against teams?
Because their 3-point defense is trash. But, dude, you line up Colin Sexton and have him just shoot 5 threes in a row in practice, he's probably not making all 5. Like, that's just not the case, right? So the Grizzlies turn around and they shoot 45, 50%-ish from 3 and spank the Blazers twice. You still feel a lot better. You're only 5 games in. The problem with I have is tonight is like we were talking about. They're not getting to the paint. They have no motion, no energy on offense. It's all stagnant. Yeah. There's no communication on defense. I mean, dude, I about got evicted for what I yelled when Jaren Jackson was guarding a fan in the corner. Like, he literally was guarding someone in the corner. There wasn't anyone in the corner. Like, that kind of stuff just can't happen.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think, honestly, the part that could get these Grizzlies to a place where they can get by is as long as Santi Aldama comes back before Ja Morant. But let me tell you, if Ja Morant comes back before Santi Aldama, I think it's a lost season. And dude, and listen, I'm not a Grizzlies coaching staff hater. I'm not a Grizzlies front office hater. I think they've done a whole bunch really good, and everybody has some misses and some bad stuff. Dog, when it comes to the injuries, you've lost all trust in everyone in the fan base. Like, if Santi Aldama was out for the season, would you be shocked if Santi Aldama didn't play this season?
Yes, I would be shocked.
No, I mean like shocked that, hey, he actually tore a ligament in his ankle and the Grizzlies were trying to do a non-post-op. That would be shocking to you.
I know what you're saying. I think it would be shocking because
I would not be shocked.
These are professionals. Like, they're not trying to suck and be bad at their job.
No, I'm saying
the front office hides a lot of stuff too, though. I get that what you're saying as well.
Yes. Like, I could 100% see them saying, oh, we're going to try and go without doing any kind of operation. When in the beginning they said, oh, it's just a mild ankle sprain. Like, that's the problem. I wouldn't be shocked if it was a season-ending injury after they told us it's an ankle sprain. He'll be back and he's day-to-day.
Yeah.
But if Santi Aldama comes back after John Morant, I think we're probably screwed. But listen, I think truly there's a bunch of stuff that's got to get fixed scheme-wise. They have to have more movement on offense. They have to touch the paint. They have to play a semblance of defense. Like, they've got to try and play defense. And David Roddy, I'm picking on you because I love you. Guard your guy. Like, don't just he accidentally doubles every time they're on the defensive side of the court. But I think we do have to also factor in, like, the pieces that you're missing do matter, right? Like,
I agree.
At a certain point, you're putting out Big Mike from BYU. Shout out Big Mike if you're listening to this. You know I love you, dude. But
all right, let's listen to Coach Jenkins after the game real quick.
Let's do it.
He was in here. I'm going to play off my phone.
I thought they played great. They set great screens, driving kick. They shared the ball. They had tons of assists. Tipper Cat, they had a lot of guys play well. Markin was 4 for 4, I think, in the first half. Sexton was like 3 for 4. They were getting in the paint. We got to do a better job one-on-one. Scramble rotations, they made us pay when we were even on point. They found that open guy. They were pretty dialed in. Give them a lot of credit. I mean, Jazz played great, and then our offense really hurt us in that first quarter. I mean, we had tons of open shots. We missed some bunnies at the rim. Just got to keep getting better. Can't put us at a disadvantage. But then it was a storm. Luckily, we battled the rest of the game, but first quarter did it for us.
Such a storm.
With a game like this, where it just gets out of hand so quickly, so early, what do you take?
Why is he breathing so hard?
Because what do we just keep fighting? As much as it is, it was a barrage for sure in the first half. I'm not about moral victories or anything like that. That's not. I don't think that even exists. It's about just finding ways to get better. I thought we did in the second half. Yeah, we had to go to zone. We found a way. We were connected offensively. We started hitting our stride, but it was obviously too late. But the guys kept fighting. That was the biggest thing. Keeping your spirits up. We're gonna get better. That's the end game. That's what those guys showed for 48 minutes, even despite a really tough first half for us.
All right, listen, he said we're gonna get better.
We're gonna get better.
I pray to God we're gonna get better, TJ. Like, my God, that's so funny. I hate shitting on the guy, but it's just like, that's coach speak. And I
gotta get better. Yeah, I'd say so.
He said,
I know.
We're gonna get
I
better.
really don't want to just trash him, but every time they get like their absolute ass beat, and it's like, we guys continue to get better. I'm like, yeah, it's really the only thing you can do at this point.
I pray to God we get better. That's all I have to say. Like, I would be up there just
gotta get better. Yeah,
I would bring the chaplain with me to the next press conference and sitting right next to him, like, Father, please, can you help us?
We have to pray. Well, here's what drives me crazy. He was describing everything the Jazz did.
Yes.
That was really good.
Yes.
But then the Grizzlies didn't do any of it. That's what drives me insane.
That's the frustrating part. And as a coach, that's the easiest thing to say, right? Because if you do just compliment the other team, it's swept under the rug. Nobody talks about it. It just goes away, right? If you talk about your team, there's so much bad that can come out of that. Because who is he calling out? Who is he pointing fingers to? So at that point, if you're asked that question, and you're mainly having an opening statement, what are you saying? If you're having to be at the press conference, and obviously the coach gets to speak first without any questions being called, what's the first thing that you would say as a coach of the Grizzlies?
We fucking suck. No, listen, you're always going to get coach speak. And
right.
I mean, to be honest, you do want a coach that's going to come in there, be even keel after that. smooth the waters over, because you have to have smooth waters go into Portland confident. Like these next two games, we talked about it before the Mavs game, or maybe it was after the Wizards game. Yeah. I was like, I'm not panicking yet. I'll start to panic
I'm there.
if we look up and they're 0-7. I'm like, if they hit 0-7,
I'm not going to be here
a little bit.
I'm not going to be here.
We might just take the year off. Sorry, Mark. Sorry, Mark. Luke and Mark can take over Grizz 901 too. But,
see what had happened
was I was trying to get away from my self-harm habits, and then I watched the Grizzlies season.
I like it just turn into like a self-help podcast.
For help, I turn to Jameis. Just kidding. My dad listens to this. Who am I kidding? He's not listening to this. But I'll start panicking if we turn around and they're 0-7. I'll start panicking then. Right now, I'm not panicking. But dog, like when you're talking about everything the team just did that was really good, but then your team didn't attempt to do any of that other than make threes. Like that's the only part you attempted to do, but nothing that leads to the made threes. I'm like, dude, take notes from Will Hardy or something. I don't know. Listen, it was a fiasco. I didn't watch the Mavs game. I watched actually because my beautiful, wonderful, amazing wife insisted we get to the concert 45 minutes early, at which point I turned on League Pass on my phone and watched some Grizzlies. I actually liked the 5 minutes of Grizzlies basketball I saw because Luka was going on a Luka tear, and they were still like hanging around. They kept responding. I was like, hey, this actually looks pretty good. From what I saw on Twitter, it did not look good outside of that 5 minute span, from what I could tell. But like if they can get back to what they were in the Nuggets game, and honestly, what I thought they did a good bit of the Pelicans game, like they played a style of basketball I think they can win with. But dude, you're against it. Like you got to start winning next game. The next game, I think, has to be a win. I think it has to be a win. I think you got to win these two in Portland, if I'm being honest.
I think you have to as well. Let's go ahead and get into the game. I'm not going to put it in commercial. I'm so done. Blazers play 11-3 on Friday. No Funaki again. I think at some point his kid has cricket, which is completely different than obviously than U.S. It'd be like your kid saying they're going to going to play baseball. That's their more their baseball, their normal sport. But he's coaching his kids, so it's kind of where he isn't able to be here, and so but he will be here back here. So don't fret. You're not missing any, like nothing's happened, like whatever. Funaki, we're gonna have Funaki Fridays. Will be here at some point. I think if Steven Adams is playing, maybe he might try to make it work if possible. But right now he's not able to do it with his kiddo, and he's coaching the team. But getting into the Blazers game on Friday, you're going against a team that you're better than. Just looking at their entire team, you're better than them. So they do have a big guy, which is DeAndre Ayton, who he actually grabbed 23 rebounds the other day. I don't know if you saw that in the game. Okay. He's played well on rebounding. He's not a threat on the offensive end. He has that short, I guess, free throw line extended area where he can knock that shot down. But I'm curious if he will be any threat to us at all. I would imagine they're going to go through him a little bit. But they've won 2 games. They're 2-3 on the season. They just beat the Pistons. I believe it was tonight, correct? Yeah, DeAndre Ayton had 11 rebounds, 16 points. Shadon Sharp, 29 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. They're going to play up and down. Malcolm Brogdon has been very good for them. He's going to be another vet. We have to go into that game, and even Jeremy Grant, sorry, I missed him, 24 points. He had 1 rebound. How are you a power or small forward and you have 1 rebound in the game? Like, accidentally fall over and the ball could be there. Like, do that a couple times, you might get a rebound. But Scoot Henderson has not looked good this whole season. Like, he's been fine, but he hasn't been great.
Well, get ready for the coming out party.
But looking at their stats tonight, just looking in general, they went 7 of 20 from 3-point. I don't know what they shoot 3-pointers wise. That obviously wasn't good. 7 for 20 is, not a terrible number, but 20 attempts is a little different. I'm going to look at their game against Toronto. They took 35 against Toronto. So that's obviously a lot different. 7 of 20, and you took 35 the previous game. Like, what is happening? That's a big change. They were blown out by the 76ers. They took 31. And then the Magic, they were beaten by the Magic at home, and they took 28. So it looks like they're around the 30-ish number. So I would expect them to get up and down the floor. They're going to have, some size. They're going to have athleticism. They're going to take, 3-pointers, but we're talking about 30-ish. But are they licking their chops to possibly get more? So anything that you're seeing with this Blazers team that maybe you think could be good, bad, indifferent?
I think there's a better chance of them missing open shots.
Okay.
And honestly, I mean, the Grizzlies get a bunch of threes scored on them because of the way they play defense right now. So, it's not just teams having outlandish nights for no reason. At the same time, at the beginning of this game, the Jazz had an unreasonable first quarter from 3. You give those guys the same exact shots tomorrow night, and it's not going to look like that. So I think there's a better chance of Portland missing those shots. They're a young team, which means they're more likely to be prone to silly mistakes.
Yep.
And I think this Grizz team, it can still be a win away from figuring some things out, right? I think they get one in the win column. They get some momentum, get some of their swagger back. It could give them enough to actually sort of boost themselves back into a reasonable team where you can get around the 500-ish range, right? Or you're playing 500 basketball at least. And that's all you want until John Morant gets back. That being said, it could be the game that the legend of Scoot Henderson begins. And so, literally, this is the only thing is hey, it's a young team that could make mistakes that gives the Grizzlies some confidence, and they kind of springboard themselves into better basketball. That's the only thing I have right now.
Yep.
It's the only thing I have.
I do have some positives, but before we get there, I'm going to show the comment for C. High Rocket. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I'm going to say it like that. The defense is terrible. Kennard's return hurt rather than help the shooting. Kennard hasn't been right. I don't know why. I know I have nothing to give on that. But he did not look good tonight at all. 2 positives I want to give. The offensive points per game from Portland is on average 103, and they give up 108.6. The Grizzlies give up score 106.6, and they give up 118. So what that says to me is Portland doesn't score a whole lot. They haven't. We give up a lot, so I'm hoping that goes towards Portland and not Portland towards our number, which is the 118. They were right on what they give up, 106 and 108. It's 2 games you have to win at this point. I know it's one at a time, but you have to figure out a way to get back on track. And honestly, they're going to be staying in the same hotel with each other. They're going to be with each other for the next 48 hours. And at that point, you have to be coming home back to your hotel where you're going to be at again to play in another 48 hours or 24 plus 28 hours, whatever, till you start the next game. You have to be able to come away with 2 wins there in Portland.
Yep.
There's nothing else to say. This team matches up well against them because we have enough size to go against a team like that. That does have Robert Williams coming off that comes off the bench. But my thinking is tonight we play 10 guys again, I believe. 9, because Gilliard slotted in for Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow night, I want to see 8 guys. Okay, the 5 starters. And then I want to see Luke Kennard, John Conchar, and David Roddy. Is there what would you include anybody else in a 9 or 10 man rotation?
Jake Clark. I'm just kidding.
And canceled.
And canceled. Nah, and listen, these guys need to be playing 30 minutes. You
I
need
agree.
30 plus good minutes out of Desmond Bain, Marcus Smart, Jaron, Zaire. I think that would do it.
And listen, I know they went in with Roddy early, and they started Conchar to play pretty much a lot of the second quarter, and then fourth quarter.
Mhm.
I know you're tinkering with things and trying to figure out things. Conchar, as he's currently playing, has been giving us extra possessions. He's not hurting you. He went 1 of 2 tonight. He had 7 rebounds, 7 points. I know some of that did come in garbage time, but the simple fact that John Conchar actually will get rebounds and poke them out, easy extra possessions. That's what he does. He's been fine defensively. You have to somehow get him more minutes. And I'm even saying you get him more minutes than Luke Kennard. And that sounds terrible. But Luke Kennard does not have a shooting stroke that is on right now. He's a traffic cone on defense. He's not very good. His shooting is what helps you. If he can't shoot, he's just a traffic cone. But eventually it's going to come. And hopefully it comes in this first game on Friday night. But
He's
if
got
it
to get on
doesn't,
the heater.
I'm going to be pissed.
Well, and I think whatever happens in the first game is going to happen in both games. Personally. I think if the Grizzlies get a win, I think they get some momentum, they get some confidence, they'll win the second game. I think if they lose, they're going to they don't seem like a mentally tough team right now. I think they cave in the second game. And then I think it's pretty downhill from there. That's why I think you got to win both these games. You've got to get enough momentum where you need to leave there 2-5, because even 2-5 feels a lot better than 1-6. And I don't think they're a mentally tough team. I just don't. I think Desmond Bain is mentally tough. I think Marcus Smart is mentally tough, even though he still did some pretty dumb stuff tonight. I think it's just dumb. I don't think it's like mentally weak, but like, listen, Jaron's never been seen as a mentally tough guy. All the other guys are young. Luke is in a whole nother world right now. You can tell. That's why shots not falling.
Right.
Zaire, ironically, it seems like he might be the next up in the mental toughness category. Like, not what we would have said last year. But you need to win these to get some confidence.
Yeah.
So I think they have a really good chance of winning it. I think they could bounce back. And like I said, I think they could even spank
Oh, my
the
God.
Trailblazers. But
We haven't won a game. Why are we talking about spanking a team?
I'm just saying, I feel like you could. I'm not saying, listen, I'm trying to get off positive stuff, dude. Please just let me say something positive, or else I will agree with you on the negative. Like, this is where we're at. I'm saying you could. There's a whole potential. They win both these games, win one of them convincingly. Season turns around. But we'll see what happens. It may not be me here on Friday either. I might let Big Mike come host the podcast.
God, I swear, if the Grizzlies, I will be at a 10 out of 10 if the Grizzlies lose Friday night.
On the panic meter or just the I want to
Panic
hurt
meter.
somebody meter?
Both, all the above. Any meter you're looking at, that's it. That's where I'm at.
All right. Let's get out of here. We've been here for way too long.
Way too long. We were supposed to be a 30, 45-minute show max, and we got on to talking. Whatever. All right, that's all the show we got. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you tune in to another glorious daily grind show in the morning. I know them two are excited to be on in the morning just as much as we are after these tough losses, tough starts of the season. But if you're not a Bluff City Media insider, go ahead and subscribe now. It's $5 a month. Very simple, very easy. As soon as we start getting some wins, we'll have more guests on. I don't want to talk to the guests. I don't. I'm just being honest. That's why we haven't had a guest on. So that's the reason. But at that point, we'll start doing some more giveaways and more fun things. But until we can get wins, we're not doing it. I swear. We're not. Eventually, one day. But that's all we have. Make sure you tune into the Daily Grind at 9 a.m. in the morning. Luke and Mark will be there. But tune into every other show. I'm going to be on the Anthony Sane show Friday. So tune into that. Who knows how that's going to go? I can't. That's just fireworks happening. But that's all we got. We'll see you Friday night after a dub. Be nice and tell your friends.